What's your reaction to the fans apparently thinking that you're out of shape ahead of your next fight?
Well, I'm always out of shape, Ty. I never ever look in shape, but it's what the engine that counts. I always use Anthony Joshua as a for instance. So Anthony Joshua's absolutely shredded, but he doesn't have the best engine in the world, and he gets knocked out. And I'm not absolutely shredded. The only six-pack I've ever seen is a six-pack of Bud Lights in my fridge. But yeah, I can fight on, and I'll continue, and I'll keep winning. 31-0-1, nearly 32 fights unbeaten. So yeah.
What's good, family? Massive love to my doggy Robert Garati for supporting them coins. You best believe, no doubt. So we just heard there from your man's Tyson. Fury, once again. It's bad. Listen, it's bad for Mr. Anthony Johnson right now. And to be fair, Fury himself even admits why it's bad for Mr. Anthony Johnson right now. He says, listen, no word of a lie. Tyson Fury himself literally says the words, I always love having a go on Anthony Johnson.
I always use Anthony Joshua as a...
Yeah, he says, I love using AJ. I love using him. What can I say? He loved to ride him. He stay riding him, 100%. I always love bringing it back to Anthony Johnson. I always love when I can having a quick go, saddling him up. In fact, Tyson Fury alleges that AJ stays with a saddle on because there's no point taking it off. You know what I'm saying? Let's call a spade here. The amount of times Tyson Fury has had to, or tell a lie, not had to. The amount of times Tyson Fury has chosen to take a go, just a quick one. Yeah, the amount of times Tyson Fury has chosen to have a quick go on Anthony Johnson over the last month. Yeah, and the thing is, I'm subscribed to monthly donations to the NSPCA, because animal abuse is not acceptable. Yeah, and I've heard from Team AJ's camp that essentially he's starting to get some saddle sores. So we do have to appreciate that. Please, Camp Fury, appreciate that. Whilst many of us enjoy the fact that you love to ride Johnson at free will whenever you choose to, the heart of the matter here is, the crux of the matter is that you can't be riding too much. Yeah. If you keep Fury, if you keep riding Anthony Johnson, yeah, I'm going to be forced to contact the NSPCA because, like I said, he got saddle sores right now. Yeah, he really sore. He way too sore. He's been, yeah, 100%. He got them saddle sores, and you need some lube. 100%. Yeah, Tyson Fury need to bring some lube next time if you want to ride Johnson some more, because them saddle sores, he's sorely right now. He 100% sorely. Anyway, listen, you heard that from Fury. Fury dropped some more lyrics. Apart from the fact he riding Johnson, he also dropped some more lyrics telling you, man, that listen. And it's a shame, because I can't lie. For a long time, I told you that, listen, being a bodybuilder, it's good for boxing. And that, to be honest, that should be the case. From the 90s, yeah, name me a name where there was big soft dudes dominating. There ain't no soft dudes, yeah? And the crazy thing is, even Lennox at the time was considered a bit soft, but he weren't soft, he was soft strong, yeah? He was strong soft. These guys these days, Ruiz and Fury, and it's a shame, but listen, the fact of the matter is, Fury right now is #1 heavyweight. I know a lot of you man don't like it, but it's the facts. That's what the facts say. If the facts said otherwise, I'd tell you it. The facts are Tyson Fury #1 heavyweight at this particular point in time. That's what it is. Yeah? And unfortunately, athletes, I mean, look at Wilder. Wilder got his athletic head punched off his shoulders. Wow, it's bad. Yeah? And like I told you, there was a time, a few months ago, I'd have sat here and told you, no, there's no way the athleticism of Johnston can be beaten by big, soft, skinny looking ass Fury, but what can I say now? Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I said that, oh no, AJ can always find a way. He couldn't find a way against a cruiserweight who can't punch. And the worst thing is, Chisora even told AJ before the fight, listen AJ, this man Usyk can't punch a lick. That's what Chisora said. So wait there, you knew Usyk can't punch a lick, and you went in there and your sphincter was flapping. Yeah, 100%. Your tail was wagging in the wind. Oh, sorry, your tail was flapping. Yeah, your tail, 100%. That's what it was doing. About this, that, the other. Your big bodybuilding. And that's the thing, I've got another video coming soon, Johnston. Pumping weights. Pumping some more weights. You heard that from Fury. Fury would have told you. Fury told you, listen, you can have all the weights you want. Yeah, you can you can do all the Calvin Klein modelling you want, but the bottom line, your gas tank, and that's the thing. What's the point? Can you imagine that? What's the point looking the part and having no gas tank and having no bars? And imagine that. How can you look like a athlete but have no engine? It's honestly, it's a paradox. The Anthony Johnston bodybuilding paradox. It don't make no sense. And I wouldn't mind so much, but it's even worse when you think about the fact that AJ's been training for 10 years non-stop. Fury has a few years off, piles a whole load of weight on, barely training anyway in between, and then AJ's got about 3 rounds of gas. Now there is an argument that says, well, to be fair, AJ's more explosive, but even then, in that Usyk fight, did you see any explosiveness? I didn't. In the Pulev fight, AJ had about 30 seconds of explosiveness, and he was done for 7 rounds. Call me a liar. Literally, AJ exploded in the 3rd round for about 30 seconds, and then he was written off for 6 rounds. It's like, what kind of training are you doing? There's supposed to be such thing as recovery, where, okay, if I put a 30-second spurt in, another 5 minutes later, I should be able to put some more work in. AJ, he put a bit of a spurt in, he's done for 6 rounds. It's mad. And I've been calling out AJ's conditioning. A lot of time I've spent exposing AJ's training team and their lack of knowledge across the board. AJ's technique is weak. Yeah, his guard is... Listen, AJ's defense is notoriously leaky. Leaky defense. Super duper leaky. That's the first thing. Second thing, his mentality is also leaky. Got a weak mentality, weak defense, weak technique. And now, to add insult to injury, AJ also historically has had what? Weak cardiovascular conditioning. He's got all them funny style sports science dons there. What are you man doing? I've got another video coming soon. Sam Jones, who's an insider for these kind of camps, has exposed the fact that AJ's team just keeps growing and growing. Sam Jones himself, who's a bit of a brown noser, yeah, obviously, he's a promoter, but listen, Sam Jones himself, yeah, who's a brown noser, came out and exposed the fact that every time he sees Johnston, his team grows and grows. I mean, Eddie Hearn the other day was saying, yeah, well, AJ's making some additions. I'm not sure if Rob's going to go, but, you know, it'll be an addition. Addition? What's wrong with this guy? And that's why I said a little while ago, about a year ago or 6 months ago, I said that there's a chance that AJ may be thick, as in, he may be like, if 100 IQ is the average, yeah, AJ may actually be 50 IQ. And I said that at the time, 6 months ago, I said, I'm not sure. Now, 100% sure. It's about addition to camp. I'm not going to get rid of Rob, I'm going to bring more. What's wrong with this guy? Are you seriously thick or what? I just don't get it myself. What is so great about your team over the last few years? The best thing to happen to your team was Tony Sims, and he's gone. Oops. And there's a perfect correlation or causation between Tony Sims being in the camp and AJ's back end twitching, flapping. Ever since Tony Sims left in 2018, 2019, AJ went downhill exponentially, rapido. I'm thinking about cardio. Anyway, back to the topic. Today's topic ain't about the balls or whatever else. Today's topic really is about what Tyson Fury said here about the cardio. Because it's important. We must address this. There's a reason Tyson Fury, yeah, and yes, he doesn't have as much oxygen. He doesn't have as much oxygen demand because he's not as heavy, he's not as explosive. But still, conditioning people is conditioning. I believe despite being muscular, you can still condition that muscle. Look at Mike Tyson. Now, to be fair to Mike Tyson, he would gas as well, to be fair. Yeah, got a spare. But even then, a lot of the time, earlier on in his career, he was able to be ferocious. And when I say ferocious, I don't mean AJ ferocious. I'm talking about Mike Tyson would give you 4 rounds. In his prime, he'd give you 4 or 5 rounds of proper work. Yeah, AJ, when was the last time you saw AJ go in there and give you 4 or 5 rounds of good work? You don't see it. Oh, no one's got a problem, yeah, with AJ going in there, giving us 4 or 5 rounds of hard work and gassing. My man AJ goes in there against Usyk, yeah. Literally, he threw 1 or 2 good uppercuts the whole fight, and he's done. He's hanging on the ropes in the 12th round. Can you believe that? He was literally hanging on the ropes after playing touch putt in the park with Ido Portal. 100%. AJ was playing touch butt in the park with Ido Portal versus Usyk. As a fact. And you're gassed. And that shows me what? That shows me, and the worst thing is, for a long time I was telling you, man, yeah, oh, AJ's weight's one of the culprits. AJ needs to come in 237. If AJ's 237, 239, he's going to be unstoppable. Next thing we know, he's in there with Usyk, 239. And he's just as gassed as he was at 250. And the thing is, even, like, watch AJ versus Takam, yeah? AJ versus Takam, he weighed 255 pounds. Which is literally about a stone and a half heavier than he was against Usyk. Watch that fight. AJ's in there, getting pressed by Takam, backing Takam up, levering hard shots the whole fight through, and he's a stone and a half heavier. This was back in 2018? I think 2017? 2017. 2017, AJ's in there, levering away on Takam, hammering him. And even then, his conditioning wasn't perfect, but guess what? He was in there levering away for 10 rounds and got the stoppage. The Usyk fight, did you see any levering away? Did you see any aggression or pressuring? So I'm thinking, we're going backwards here, people. It's one thing, yeah, oh well, YB, we've got a defensive strategy, but at least he can do it all day. For example, the Ruiz rematch. The one part I did congratulate the team on was the fact that, he shit his pants, but it looked as if he could go all day. And I actually concluded that, wow, look, imagine if all AJ needs to do now he's got the weight down. I think he came in for the Ruiz rematch, 237, and I was gassed saying, oh wow, look, AJ can go all day, because he was dancing, the way AJ was running from Ruiz in the rematch, it looked amazing. He wasn't gassed at all. Watch the fight. He didn't get gassed even a bit, and he was literally running for his life. So I concluded that, wow, AJ really has solved his gas tank. Imagine if he now converts that lower weight and that high conditioning now into offensive strategy. Next thing we know, he's in there with Usyk, and he's gasping for air, having done nothing. Now, the reason I bring that up is to say that we're literally going backwards, people. We've gone from a full gas tank versus Ruiz to literally hanging. And maybe it's the difference between the fact that AJ was running. Because in the Usyk fight, to be fair, yeah, he cacked his pants, but he wasn't literally running. In the Ruiz fight, he literally ran for his life. Seriously. Literally ran. The Usyk fight, he was more mid-range. Wasn't doing nothing mid-range, but he was more just fanning around in mid-range. Which is, well, I'm not sure what I'd like to say. Well, either way. AJ's body found it a lot tougher doing what he was doing against Usyk than he did against Ruiz, but really that's because Usyk has the skills, the speed himself, and the IQ to keep AJ busy and keep AJ thinking. Ruiz was so unfit and so slow, he couldn't give AJ anything to think about. And I think AJ was mentally frazzled. Did you see the way he collapsed into the corner at the end of the 12th round? He was mentally frazzled. Yeah, Usyk was, listen, that is definition of dog walking. He dog walked him. Yeah. Any of you man who have pets, yeah? Before you take your pet out for a walk, it can be real, sometimes they can be real, what's the word? They can be amped up. But when you take them on a proper long walk, longer than usual, and they get home and they're just goosed, yeah, they're goosed, yeah, and they ain't trying to make no noise. They ain't trying to, you know what I mean? They ain't trying to make no noise. They ain't trying to make no actions. They're trying to sleep, have something to eat, and sleep. That was your man Johnston. He collapsed. His head went back. He was gasping for oxygen. Yeah, and it begs the question. What are you doing in training all day? People criticise Tyson Fury about his Wilder performance. Oh, he ran out of gas himself, which is true. But what do we know about that performance? What do we know about Fury versus Wilder 3? Well, the first thing we know, Tyson Fury himself literally only had 7 weeks of training, 6 weeks of training, because his daughter was in hospital. So literally, Tyson Fury went from doing nothing to in the ring against Wilder in 6-7 weeks. And he was flying out in between. And he'd been doing nothing in between, because you know what it's like. In March, I remember doing videos in March 2021, Fury saying, oh, I've sent Sugar Hill home because of this, that, the other. Yeah? So just imagine now, in 6 weeks, Fury goes in there, and he ends up with a better gas tank than AJ's had with 10 years of consistent consecutive work. And then add to insult, add to injury, the fact that what else do we know about the Fury versus Wilder 3 fight? Well, the fact that Fury literally got put down twice, Fury gets put down twice, and in the fight he's literally loading up himself, wasn't he? Fury was putting everything into his shots, and to his detriment, Fury actually wasn't throwing a jab. He was just loading up. No jab, just loading up power shots, which we know is very draining. So yeah, people can sit there and say, oh, Fury got no gas tank. Well, listen, or Fury's more gas than normal. He had 6 weeks of training, and he was going all in, and he got put down twice. Meanwhile, your man Johnston, training every hour God sends, didn't get put down twice, wasn't loading up. I didn't see AJ load up once, and he's still gassed. Honestly, it's baffling. It's kind of like, wait a minute. In the Pulev fight, you loaded up for 30 seconds, you ended up gassed for 6 rounds. The Usyk fight, you didn't load up once, and you gassed you gassed and then you knocked out in the 12th round. It's like, what the fuck? I know that's the problem. Is so ultimately the only thing we can conclude here, the fact we've got all the data. Listen, the data's in now, people. The data's in. Yeah, if you do nothing versus Usyk and end up gassed, and you go mad for 30 seconds and end up gassed, the conclusion is that you have no high level conditioning, no high level cardio, and that's the bottom line, people, on this one. I'm afraid to break it to you. Anthony Johnson has no cardio. And again, moving that on. So wait there, you got no cardio, you got no balls, you got weak techers. So what are you doing? What have you been doing for the last 5 years? Seriously, that's the question, people. What has AJ's multi-million 50-man team been doing for the last 10 years? Because I'll tell you what they ain't been doing. They haven't been doing, like, in every single area, he's gone backwards. Do you understand? That's the honest truth. And I'd love to tell you something different. I had hopes 4 years ago when I started my channel. I said, listen, AJ, bring me in and let's start getting some of these stats up. Or let's at least start getting some of these attributes moving in the right direction. I had you tipped for all-time great. The all-time greatest. Oh, everyone can laugh at me. Yeah, 100%. I'm laughing right now. Why be a laughing stock in that regard? Because right now, you ain't gone forward in one of those area. A lot of your fans, oh no, YB, he's gone forward in the IQ area. Well, he hasn't. He just got his ears boxed off by a cruiserweight. So listen, if AJ had any IQ in boxing, yeah, he wouldn't have had his ears boxed off by a man half his size. That's just what it is, folks. There's a saying: a decent big boxer beats an amazing small boxer. Which shows if AJ had any IQ, he'd have beat Usyk. Instead, he nearly got knocked out, which tells you he has no IQ. Get that in your head, Johnston and Team Johnston. But still, the question remains the same. What have you been doing, apart from lifting weights, yeah? Because let's give AJ some credit. He probably has been lifting some weights pretty consistently. But apart from lifting weights, yeah, what have you been doing for the last 5 years? Because you ain't been building cardio. You ain't been building techers. Seriously, look at AJ's techers. Go back and watch the Takam fight and other fights. AJ was doing really slick things on the inside. I've seen AJ take a half step back and jump back in, countering. I've seen him do some interesting things on the clinch and converting clinches into offense. I've seen him do loads of stuff he ain't doing now. So, and all you dons talking about IQ, did you know? Disengaging and galloping round the other side of the ring, that's not IQ. Yeah, oh, YB, he's got footwork. Again, disengaging from your target and galloping around the ring and nicking a jab in and doing the same again, that's not IQ. That's the first thing you learn in boxing. Everyone, or natural instinct, will have you galloping around the ring. Everyone can disengage and run around the ring. AJ's team seem to think there's something amazing about that. Oh, but YB, it's footwork. And it's not footwork. It's shit in your pants is what it is. Yeah? And let's be consistent here, because when Fury used to do that, Fury was renowned for nicking a jab in and shitting his pants. And I'm consistent. If Fury shat his pants versus Klitschko, bottom line, If you don't like it, that's on you. I'm just calling a spade a spade. The same way, yeah, Fury versus Klitschko is like AJ versus Ruiz. They both shit themselves. Bottom line. Neither of them wanted to engage, for whatever reason. Now, to be fair to Fury's was more strategic than Fury's was more actually tactical and strategic rather than pure shit in his pants, if that makes sense. At the time, that was Fury's strategy. Fury didn't employ that strategy to specifically shit himself from Vlad, if you get what I'm saying. It's not like Fury was walking everyone else down, and then he got to Vlad and he chose to shit his pants. No, Fury was always, for them in them years of Peter Fury, he was always running backwards. AJ, we know, went from the killer to cacking his pants because he was scared for his life from Ruiz. And that's what makes it embarrassing. You've got a man made from Promethean goo. Yeah, the Promethean Gudons made Anthony Johnston and Francis Ngannou. That's what I'm hearing. One of my deep state Area 51 dons told me that AJ and Ngannou, they're basically projects. They're deep cover projects, 100%. Yeah, there's some deep alien DNA projects. Johnston and Ngannou. Yeah, that's what I've heard anyway. I'm thinking, how are you gonna be some how you gonna be? Wait a minute. How is Anthony Johnston rocking that experimental DNA? And you're soft looking, isn't it? Imagine that. Big looking, and no gas tank, and no minerals. What frustrates me is no one seems to want to listen either. Every day I hear some goofy, funny style news coming out, some more. And that's why I'm ultimately, we'll end it here, but I'm glad that Fury, if nothing else, I'm glad that Fury exposes these things. Because whilst it's kind of skin deep what he says, it's true though. I've spent 20 minutes giving you wider context, but it's true. Absolutely true. Whilst Fury says it in jest, these are serious questions, yeah, we need to take on board. Now, it's interesting, Ben Davison said that, listen, boxing is one of the only sports which has a very low level of coaching when you compare it to football teams and basketball teams. Now, the joke of them comments from Ben Davison is the fact that he himself, Ben Davison's career shows you how chancy and how random the boxing training scene is. The fact that someone can literally go from watching boxing on TV to training the top heavyweight in the world with absolutely no qualifications. I'm not even about qualifications. I don't think it's about qualifications, but it's about the bottom line. Yeah? Having something on paper don't mean jack. But if you've got the minerals or whatever, that's what matters to me. But either way, Ben Davison don't have the minerals. Yeah? And the fact that he was able to go from no one's ever heard of him. Ben Davison's never even boxed before. So it's like, to go from that to training the best heavyweight in the world shows you the state of boxing training. That said, as bad as Ben Davison is, the same can be said about everyone else as well. I mean, look at AJ's team. In every area, they are inept. Who's asking these questions? And it makes me wonder that if I was running a camp here, we'd have metrics we're tracking. I'm not talking about the funny style sports science metrics everyone's sucking off these days. Oh, what's your VO2 max and all these other funny style things. Listen, have you got a gas tank or not about VO2 max? How about that? Yeah? If you're running out of gas, all them metrics don't mean jack. But what I'm saying is, over time, how is it you're still having the same problems? Because I believe you are able to be fit enough. I'm sorry, I don't believe you have to gas at the end of a fight. I don't believe it myself. I believe that you can be doing not the right training and end up gassed. That's what I do believe. And look at Wilder. Wilder's another one. He was absolutely titsed after 2 rounds, wasn't he? What are these guys doing? Because in other sports, yeah, pick any other sport, people don't end up, even football, whatever sport you want. Pick whatever sport you want, yeah. In no other sport do you see people hanging after a round or two, or after 10% of what they're required to do. Boxers are required to do 12 rounds. Footballers are required to run for 90 minutes, yeah? Show me when you've seen a football player 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, just absolutely hanging off his arse. Just can't do it no more. Show me it. Oops, you don't see it. Show me when you've seen a swimmer meant to do 400 metres and he's done after 100 metres. Do you know what I'm saying? At the top level. You don't see it. Show me a runner at the top level. Show me the top gold, silver, bronze medalist, yeah? In 800 metres, who after 150 metres is just done. Either way you look at it, whether it's pacing or whatever, either way, it doesn't exist in any other sport. And that's not because the sport inherently is super duper different. It's to do with the regimes that are being undertaken in training. Boxing, for example, people turn up, they go for a light jog. I've always been a critic of jogging. I don't believe in it myself. People turn up, and even Tyson Fury himself, to be honest with you. Most boxing people, they consider a jog in the morning to be a training session. And they're with the boys, and they're talking, laughing. That ain't a session. You're having a laugh. That's what you call a warm-up. It's not a session. Jogging and chatting and Snapchatting and Instagramming, that don't count. But most boxers, their morning session is a friendly jog, pissing around, essentially. That don't count. That's the first thing. And every other professional sport are doing 2 a day. When I say 2 a day, I don't mean a random jog in the morning. I'm talking about 2 a day. So that there itself shows you where boxing's already half out of the way, because you're losing a session there. Every other sport is working in the morning. A proper session. That's the first thing. Second thing, you see them on the pads, and they're doing a few things, and I don't know. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You never actually see boxers in training blowing, do you? Show me when you've seen an athlete, yeah, absolutely blowing his tits off on the bag. Can't do no more, falling over. Don't get me wrong, I've seen them on the treadmill or on the bike, but then it's no surprise that they end up blowing when they get in the ring, because you're not doing biking, you're not doing treadmilling. But anyway, listen, I'm giving away too many freebies here, yeah? You man, what you need to do is start paying for the exclusives. Some of you dopey teams. Johnson's team, you'll do, yeah? I'll fix your team up first. Johnson, if you want a free gas tank, yeah, you know where to come. No win, no fee. Yeah, no gas tank, no fee. If you end up gassing and you've trained with me for 6 months to a year, no win, no fee. How about that? But you ain't going to do that, because tell you what you're going to do. You're going to carry on with your same team you've been with for 3 years, who have proven time and time again that you have no conditioning, you have no technique, you have no IQ, you have no strategy, you have no idea what you're doing in there. That's the facts, people. That's what the actual evidence shows. The Usyk fight shows all of these things. Again, what did the Usyk fight show? No gas tank, tick. Yeah? No strategy, tick. No good advice, tick. Yeah? What else was there? No power, tick. Yeah, no aggression, tick. So all the boxes you might want to tick in that fight, yeah, you can tick. All the things that you may not want to go wrong, went wrong. So what you need to do is reach out to the YB, and I'm going to put it on the line right now for you, because like I said before, people laugh at that. Oh, YB, as if AJ going to bring you in. But again, what do we know? As funny as that may sound to some of you, yeah, that I might come into the camp. Again, Ben Davison, Tyson Fury brought Ben Davison in. Do you understand? So so as mad as it may be, me saying that, I'm deadly serious. I'm as serious as Ben Davidson going in there. Why not? Yeah? The things Ben says don't even make sense. He has all of his fighters shitting themselves. At least if you're with me, yeah, it's gonna be on this thing. How about that? There's gonna be no, listen, you with the YB, yeah, you're gonna have a full tank of cardio. That's what you are gonna have. Full tank of cardio and totally ferocious in the ring and out. There ain't going to be no kissing. There ain't going to be no hugging. There ain't going to be no walking out and hugging someone's nan and none of that rubbish. Not with me leading the camp, there won't be. But I don't think you want that. I think Johnston likes having a bunch of bottom flappers around him who can rub him off in between sessions. That's what I think he likes. I think he likes having Fernando. I think he likes having AKA Skins. AJ likes the mulatto. I've heard from some people within certain communities that AJ likes what they call the mulatto. Yeah, mulatto Donnies. That's what AJ has an affinity for. AKA Skins, mulatto. Yeah, Fernando Alonso, mulatto. That's his kind of preference. Yeah? He liked the zesty dons. He don't want no real man in there. I'd have told him to fix it by now. Too zesty.